everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to do a storytime video on something that happened to me when I was around 14 or 15 years old. And the reason I wanted to talk about this was because the other night me and my boyfriend were talking about times where we were in a kind of dangerous situation that maybe we didn't fully understand at the time because we were so young, and we were just kind of sharing experiences and things that had happened to us. And it made me realize how, I don't know, naive I was as a teenager, I guess. Not naive, but just I was very confident that nothing would ever happen to me. And I feel like a lot of teenagers think that way. So basically, I was a 15-year-old girl and I had been in a relationship with this particular guy for about a year, I'd say, maybe a year and a half. I'd been with him quite a while. We were very serious. We saw each other every single day. It was a pretty heavy relationship for such a young age. And I remember one night, I think it was around winter time, I was staying over at his house. So I know it probably sounds weird when I say I was a 15-year-old and my mom was letting me sleep over at my boyfriend's house. And yeah, that does sound weird. But what you need to remember was I'd been with this guy quite a long time and I wasn't an immature teenager. I was very mature for my age, and my mom respected that, which looking back I really appreciate. She knew that I wasn't out drinking or doing drugs. She knew I was being safe. I wasn't doing anything stupid. So, you know, it took a little bit convincing, I'm not gonna lie. She didn't just let me go straight away, but after a while she saw that we were serious and she let me stay over his house occasionally. Not very often, just occasionally. Now this guy that I was seeing, I think I will call him Rob. We'll call him Rob. It was a tricky relationship. It was very intense, very full on, and I'll be honest, it was pretty toxic. It wasn't great. We would argue a lot. We'd probably be okay for a week and then we'd argue for a week and we'd break up and then we'd be okay for a week, and oh my god, it was a nightmare. And basically on this particular night that I was staying over Rob's house, we were going through a little bit of a bad patch. I think we'd been arguing a little bit and he was just not being the best boyfriend. And I remember being in his bedroom. I was lying in bed. I think I was watching, I think it was like Family Guy or something like that. And he was downstairs because his friend was coming over. Now, I think this was around 11 or 10 p.m, something like that. It was pretty late. And I knew his friend was coming around, which was absolutely fine. I didn't mind that. His friends usually came around. And I thought they'd just probably stay for like an hour or something like that. But of course, that wasn't the case. 3 hours went by and his friend was still here. He was still downstairs, and it was just a bit annoying because I didn't get the opportunity to stay over there very often. I mean, my mom let me stay, but not like all the time. It was just every now and again. So I was really upset that he kind of just didn't care and he'd let his friend come over. It was like 2 a.m. at this point and his friend was still here. So I thought, right, I'm just gonna wait this out. I'm just gonna see how long he stays. I'm gonna stay awake. I was watching more Family Guy. It was on for absolutely ages. And then I was watching some other random programs, I don't know. And this isn't the first time that this had happened. This had happened on quite a few occasions. So it wasn't like it was a first time thing that he just, you know, made a mistake and let his friend stay a little bit too long. This had happened on several occasions, and each time he knew I was pissed about it. The fact that he just kept doing it is what irritated me the most. He never seemed to learn his lesson, and then we'd argue about it, and it was just so boring. Like, oh my god, I don't miss the arguments. It was a pain in the ass. So I waited a few more hours. I stayed awake. At this point it was around 4 a.m. and I think his friend finally left, and Rob came up the stairs and came in the bedroom and just acted like nothing had ever happened, and he was like, okay, I'm gonna go to bed now. And I was like, okay. So I got up, I got all my stuff, I got all my clothes, I got changed out of my pajamas into my normal clothes, I got my bag and I walked out the bedroom, I walked down the stairs. I said to him, this is the last time you are doing this to me. We've been through this. I've told you not to keep having your friends over all hours of the night when we don't get many opportunities to spend time together and you just don't seem to care. I was so mad. I was quite an angry teenager, so, you know, I'd blow little things out of proportion a little bit, which Looking back was funny, but at the time I was absolutely furious. So yeah, I walked down the stairs, I walked out the front door, and bear in mind at this time it was about 4 a.m. It was pitch black outside. So I walked out the door with the full intention of walking all the way home back to my house. Now, my house wasn't exactly around the corner. It was about 2.5 to 3 miles away. It was pretty far. I did used to walk to and from mine and his house all the time in the daytime. It wasn't a really big deal. I knew that if I walked all the way home by myself at 4 a.m, my mom would go absolutely batshit crazy. So it was a little bit awkward because I didn't want to stay in Rob's house because I was so angry and I just felt like he was taking the absolute pee and he just didn't care. But at the same time, I didn't want to go home because I knew my mom would ruin me. She would absolutely scream the house down. So where he lived was pretty busy. It wasn't like a quiet area. There was a lot of main roads and he kind of lived, there was like a main road and then his road was like off a main road. So his road was fairly quiet, but it was still right on a main road. I walked out the house fully expecting him to kind of chase me and be like, "Where are you going, Chloe? Please come back." But of course he didn't do that because he was a shit boyfriend. Yeah, he never followed me out. He never said anything in the house. He was just kind of like, see ya. So not only was I furiously angry and deeply enraged in my soul, I was also really upset because I felt like my boyfriend was making an absolute fool out of me. And at 15 years old, when you're an emotional, hormonal teenager, that is just not great. So yeah, I was walking down the street super slowly, just taking my time because obviously I knew I couldn't fully walk home because my mom would go crazy at me. So I kind of walked slow in the hopes that maybe he'd come out of his house and chase after me and try and get me back. So I was like, right, I'll just walk slow and I'm sure at some point he'll come out and get me because he's not gonna let me walk, you know, all the way home at 4 a.m. in the morning. But that just didn't happen. Oh god. So I'd walked probably about 15 minutes at this point. I'd been walking quite a while. Back in those days, I didn't have like a contract mobile phone. I just had a pay-as-you-go phone, so I didn't have any credit on my phone at the time, so I couldn't make any calls or texts or anything like that. And none of my friends lived kind of close to Rob, so I couldn't go to a friend's house either. I couldn't text any of my friends. I was in a bit of a predicament. It was so annoying. I was getting closer to the main road and there was lots of cars about. Even though it was 4 a.m, it was still really busy. And just as I was about to get to the main road, a car pulled up alongside me and he was really polite, really sweet. He said to me, "Hi, are you okay? You seem like you're lost. What are you doing out at this time of night? Do you need me to call the police for you? Or do you need me to call someone to come and pick you up?" He was really sweet. He didn't seem like a crazy psychopath killer, I'll be honest, so I wasn't concerned. And at this point I was still fully expecting Rob to come out after me or at least call me or something like that. So I was like, no, I'm okay, thank you. My house is literally just right there. I just needed to get something. I'm going right back into my house because of course, even though I felt like this dude wasn't, you know, crazy, I still didn't want him to think that I was kind of stranded in the middle of nowhere. And yeah, so I made up that my house was like, it's there, my house is there. And he was like, "Oh, okay, if you're sure, please though, if you need my help, tell me, I can ring someone for you. I can get you the help that you need." And I was like, no, seriously, it's fine, I'm fine. I was like, I'm gonna go back into my house now. So I kind of said thank you to him. I turned around and I made it look like I was walking up to a house. And then he kind of said, "Okay then, bye." And he pulled off and he drove down the road. And I was like, whew, thank God for that, he's gone. Hopefully I won't be bothered again. So then I carried on walking down the street a little bit more. And at this point, I just got onto the corner of the street. And I think I felt a little bit safer because even though I was really dumb and naive and, you know, was confident that nothing would ever happen to me, I was still a little bit like, oh, I'm off this quiet road now. I'm on the busy road. There's loads of cars, so nothing can happen to me here because there's so many people. So a few minutes after the one car pulled me over, another car pulled up, again with a guy in it just by himself. I remember he like rolled down his window. He asked me, "Oh, hi, what's what's a beautiful girl like you doing out at this time of night? And instantly I just got the creepiest vibes from this person, and I was shook. The fact that he called me beautiful when I was obviously very clearly a young girl just threw me off a little bit, because he looked like he was in his late 30s to early 40s, so that creeped me out. But after he said that, I said, no, I'm absolutely fine. I was like, my house is just right there. I'm actually just going back home. I'm about to go into my house now. And he said, I don't believe you. And I was like, no, I'm being serious. That's literally my house right there. I just had to come out, but now I'm going back in and my parents are literally right there. And he just kind of like smirked at me, and he was like, do you want me to give you a lift? You know, you shouldn't be on the streets at this time. There are some dangerous people out there. You should get in the car with me and I can take you to somewhere safe. And I was like, no, I'm absolutely fine. I'm just gonna stay right here. And so I pulled my phone out and I was like pretending to like call someone. I was like, I'm just calling my parents now. I'm gonna go back home. I'm just gonna call them and let them know that I'm okay. Because I thought if I pretend that I'm calling someone, that it might make him not want to take me, sort of thing. But he didn't seem to care. So at this point I was scared. I was freaking out because this guy just wasn't believing a single word I was saying, and I could just tell something was up. I knew something was wrong and I didn't know what to do. I couldn't call anyone. I couldn't run back to Rob's house because it was quite far at this point. Like, I'd been walking for probably like 15 minutes. I knew that even if I did run, he could just follow me in his car. I knew that I couldn't just go into the house behind me because obviously my parents don't live there, and I'd made that up. And at this point I didn't realize that you can actually dial 999 on your phone and it's free. I didn't know that. That would have came in handy at the time had I have known, but I didn't know that. He just carried on saying, you know, get in the car with me. I will take you home. I will take you back to your parents. You will be safe, because he didn't believe that my parents lived behind me. He did not believe that was my house. He could tell that I was just walking about aimlessly on the street because I looked all disheveled. My hair was a mess. My clothes were a mess, and I had a big bag on my shoulders, so it was pretty obvious that my house wasn't behind me. Bear in mind, it was winter at this point as well, and I was absolutely freezing. It was not a fun time. So I kept saying, no, it's fine. Right, I'm gonna go now because my parents are calling me. I'm gonna go. And I started to walk off towards the house that I lived in, you know, my fake house. And he kept his window rolled down, and he basically turned around the corner in his car really slowly, and he followed me down the street. So I'd already passed my fake house at this point, and he was following me down the street, and he was just shouting things to me out the window, and he kept saying, come on, come and get in the car, I'll take you home, come on, I can make calls for you, just come and get in the car. And I kept saying, no, I'm fine, please just leave me alone, I'm absolutely fine. I don't need your help, I'm okay. And he started to get a little bit aggressive with his tone, and I was really afraid because I didn't know if he was gonna jump out his car and take me. I didn't know what was gonna happen. Like, I was a 15-year-old girl, this was a middle-aged man. I didn't know what to do. So he started to get a little bit aggressive, and he started saying, come and get in my car now. And I was like, no, I'm not getting in your car. I started to be a little bit aggressive back, even though I was shit scared. I said, so you were wasting your time. I don't need your help. Thank you. I was polite because I didn't want to piss him off. But at the same time, I was being stern because I didn't want this person to think he was gonna do whatever he wanted to do to me. And I carried on walking, and it got to a point where he stopped his car and he leant over and opened the door, and he changed his attitude again, and he was like, come on beautiful, come and get in the car. Look, I promise I'm not gonna hurt you. I just want to take you home. I just want to see you safe. I don't want to see anything bad happen to you out here. There's a lot of crazy people. Come on, please. And he had like the grossest, weird, smirky grin on his face the whole time he was saying it. And I just remember thinking, what is this person doing out this time of night, driving around these sorts of streets really slow. It was almost like he was looking for someone. That's what it seemed like. It looked like he was looking for people like me, which freaked me out even more. I was so terrified that he was going to get out his car and chase me that I started to run. And he closed his door really quickly and he started to speed up, and he followed me down like pretty much half the road. It was such a long road and he followed me nearly the whole joint. So I pulled out my phone, and even though I knew I didn't have any credit, I kept trying to call my boyfriend Rob. I just kept pressing call, because I don't know, I think psychologically it made me feel better to think that I was trying to call someone, because I felt helpless and I didn't know what to do. And yet again, he pulled up next to me really slow, was following me, kept shouting the same things out the window. He was like, get in my car with me now, I'm gonna take you home. I knew I need to get away from this person. Rob's house wasn't that far away, so I was like, I just need to run. It doesn't matter how tired I am, I need to run, I need to get away from this person, otherwise something bad is going to happen to me. I need to get away from this person. So now I started running faster and faster and faster, and he started driving faster to keep up with me, and I heard him stop his car and I heard him get out and slam his door, and I was like, oh my god, he's going to fucking chase me. I started running even faster. At this point I was pretty close to Rob's house, so I thought I could make it. Oh my god, it was terrifying. And just as this happened, I looked down the road because I wasn't too far from Rob's house, and I actually saw him walk out his house, and I saw him pick up his phone, and I saw him pressing some buttons, and then my phone started to ring. So I picked it up and he said, I'm really sorry, please come back. I left you for a while because I just wanted you to cool down. I'm sorry if I've upset you. Please just come back. And at this point I didn't get like a chance to get a word, and I was just listening to what he was saying as I was running. I'm not sure if he could see me because he was kind of just, he'd walked out his house and he was kind of just facing opposite. So as soon as he said that, I was like, it's fine, I'm so close to your house. I was like waving, and I saw him start to walk towards me, and as he was walking towards me, the guy from behind who was like walking a distance behind me, I heard him get back into his car and I just saw him drove off. Thank God that, I mean, you know, my boyfriend wasn't that great, but if he hadn't have come out at that exact moment, that guy would have caught up to me and I don't even know what he would have done. I just got really bad vibes from this person, and as soon as I saw my boyfriend, I literally ran to him and I hugged him, and we went in the house, and I was just so cold and so freaked out and just scared, and I was glad that it was over. And oh my god, it was such a big relief. And I told my boyfriend that 2 people had like pulled me over, and that one of them was like harassing me and wouldn't leave me alone, and he was kind of like, oh, I'm sure he was just trying to help, you know. I think he thought I was exaggerating a little bit because me and him had argued, and I think he thought I was trying to get sympathy or something like that. I don't know, but he didn't view it as a big deal. So we went upstairs and I put my pajamas back on. I was absolutely freezing. At this point it was like 4:30, and I just wanted to get in bed and go to sleep and pretend that this night never happened. And that's exactly what I did. The next day I went home as normal. I got my granddad to pick me up because I just didn't want to walk, even though at the time I don't think I fully understood how serious that was. You know, I didn't think, oh my god, I need to call the police, this guy's crazy. I didn't really think that. I knew that something bad potentially could have happened, but I don't think I fully understood what really could have happened. I went home and I didn't speak about it again. I never told anyone. I never told my mom. Of course I wasn't going to tell my mom. If my mom knew that I was walking the streets at 4 AM in the morning, she would go fucking crazy. So I just didn't mention it, and I didn't want to ruin my chances of going to his house again, so I just kept my mouth shut. And the reason I wanted to tell this particular story time was because I feel like in this day and age, teenage girls look a lot older than they actually are because of Instagram, and they're wearing more makeup and they're dressing a little bit more maturely. And I feel like now more than ever, teenagers feel more confident that nothing bad is going to happen to them. They just feel safe. And I know I felt like that back when I was a teenager, so I can imagine it's even worse now. I just think you have to be careful as a teenager, especially a girl, because like I said, girls are vulnerable, and if you have a strong man that tries to take you or whatever, you don't really stand a chance. And I'm not trying to scaremonger people or put fear into you. I'm not trying to do that at all. That is not my intention. The message that I want to get across is just please be safe. Always make sure that someone knows where you are. Try not to walk alone too late at night. You know, don't do what I did, walking alone at like 4 a.m. because that's just not smart. And just make sure your parents know where you are, or your friends, and just try and stay as safe as possible, because honestly, there are so many crazy people in the world. You just don't know what could happen to you, and that's a scary thought. So yeah, that is my story time about the time that I nearly got attacked or was followed. I don't know what you want to call it. I don't even know what I'm going to call this video, but it was a crazy night, and I'll be honest, I didn't really learn my lesson after that, and I still, you know, when we had arguments, I'd still walk out and leave his house late at night. I just never learned my lesson. So yeah, please just be safe and take precautions with things that you do. You know, don't be too naive about things. That is the whole story. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you'd like me to do more story times. I will definitely do that. I've got a lot of crazy stuff to share. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Also, let me know in the comments if there's ever been a situation you've been in as a teenager that you didn't fully understand at the time, you didn't fully understand the dangers, and that you've looked back on as an adult and realized, oh crap, that could have gone very wrong. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in next week's video.